Hey everybody, hope everybody is having a great, I guess, end of September now. It's blowing me away about how fast this year is going by. But what I wanted to kind of come on live tonight and chat about is some things about, I titled this It's Time. It is time. Honestly, what it's time for all of us to live our lives and be happy. Now, some people will say, oh, here's one of those positive people all the time. But let me tell you a little bit of a story about who I am. I was raised by a single mother, and I was raised by, not that I didn't have a father and that he's in my life and I love my father, but I was raised by a single mother. I was born in 1974, where my father was 15 and my mother was 16. They were kids. Um, and then fast forward later on in life, my mother passed away 11 years ago in 2012. I can tell you that that's the time when I really just started to grow up. Not that I wasn't growing up, but that was the time when I really had to start thinking on a different level. And so, what that meant is that I started taking responsibility for a lot of the things that I had done in my life, where I'd take these huge leaps of faith. And I'd never worry about it because what was the worst that's going to happen? I was going to have to move back home with my mother, that kind of stuff. Well, when she wasn't there, I didn't have that. And so going back to that point, I'm telling you this kind of little bit of a long story because I want to get to my point about why it's time for all of us. Each time what I would do is I took a leap of faith after she had passed away. I quit my job. I went on a book tour and sold a bunch of books. But the entire time we were gone, even though we had a lot of fun, it was me and my friend Justin, I was worried sick about money, like completely terrified that, hey, what if we got stuck somewhere? I bought a conversion van so that we could literally travel and sleep in this thing, and we took enough clothes to last us forever. My dogs were staying in North Carolina at a friend's house, and so, but the entire time we were gone, even though we went to 22 states, had an amazing time. I was terrified that I was going to come back and I was going to be homeless, and that me and my dogs were not going to have enough. We weren't going to have a home. And one of the reasons why I want to start talking about these stories and being vulnerable with people is because I want to see spiritual teachers and coaches talk about their story. Because really, what happens when we get up here and talk about positive things, nobody knows the work that it took for us to get there. And so it needs to be that it is very realistic for people to achieve their goals in their life. And what that means is that they're not going to have to actually do the work inside. So fast forward, over many years, I remember my mother's best friend came to live with me. His name was Daryl, in 2014. And I had just gotten a new apartment in Largo, Florida, that I lived in for 7 years after that. And there was a point where he and I got into a big argument, and he moved out, and it was just a few days before the rent was due. And I was freaking out. I was like, how am I going to pay for this rent? It's only $725, but I was like, how am I going to pay for this rent? I just went into a panic. Well, the job I worked at the time said, we're offering double time and a half this weekend. And if you do double time and a half, that was enough money to not only pay for my whole rent, but it was also enough money to buy groceries and get gas for the week. And this is kind of how the universe works. How, if you want to call it God, if you're Christian, that's fine. This is how it works. And so I have countless stories of this happening over and over and over again. So then, many years later, a couple of years later, I was running a blog, and a friend of mine invited me to come and do that blog. And several months later, the funding to pay me left. And a couple months before that, I had said, I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do. My energy just started feeling like I needed to start thinking differently and started, to be able to support myself. And I felt like this is not going to last. Well, then a fund that I had had from many years prior, I mean, when I was very young, came forward and said, you can cash this in. And something told me to cash it in. So sure enough, the funding was gone to pay my salary. Then I was able to, because of this fund, this thing came in, I was able to pay for myself. And then I remember laying down and saying, this money's going to run out if I don't do something. And I said to the universe, take care. I know you'll take care of me. Now I was still scared. There was still a part of me that all this anxiety was coming up and all this great stuff. And, I was just, kind of in a panic, but there's something just told me to go and pray about it. 45 minutes later, I get a phone call from a recruiter to go work for a company called 1-800-Accountant, and I was there for 3 years. And then I decided to leave there. And I went off and I've done some consulting over the past few years as a learning and development consultant. And then I decided to settle down in a company called the American Advisors Group and become their functional training manager. Well, in June of 2022, they came to us and said the interest rates have changed and I got laid off. And I had money in savings, all that kind of stuff, but I was off work for 6 months. And so all the time there was this overwhelming amount of fear. Now I had all these examples of, being taken care of over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But at this point, I had increased my cost of living and said, you know what, I want a beautiful apartment and I want to live in a nice apartment. So I'm living in that apartment. But, when your expenses grow, you get a little bit scared. Then now it's not that cheap rent I used to have. Now it's actually kind of high up there. And so then I was like, then I got a job just randomly, just came in and paid for my bills. And so, and then I was doing my healing work. This particular job allowed me to really dive into my healing work and really have a lot more clients, but also have that security of that base salary. Now, keep in mind, I'm telling you the story because consistently the universe, I'm telling you this because I know all of you can relate. You've had things happen, but if you really get down to brass tacks, you've always been taken care of. Always been taken care of, at least at some level. Anyways, so this year, the consulting gig ended earlier than I expected. And then things just started to come in. My friend Virginia Drake and I were on a very large podcast, both of us, and the flood of emails have come in. We're actually having trouble keeping up with them. But this allowed me to free myself so I could and my clients kept on telling me, please do not go back to work because every time you go to work, your energy changes and you're still a very gifted healer. But when you're not working, your energy is just incredible. So then all these opportunities have just been flooding in. Now, what happens energetically? We start to, when I was in meditation, I would get into these meditations and then the mind starts going into trying to figure out, well, I could do this to make money. 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 I could do this. I could expand this out. And the energy gets focused in on money. Now, no doubt we have to use money to pay our bills. So, we can't just be foolish about it. And with that being said, you have to start looking at expanding your energy out. And when you go into your prayers or your meditation and stuff like that, you just have to know that you're going to be taken care of. And so as I'm sitting here knowing that somehow it's going to be taken care of, and I just started saying, out of the thousands of people that I've worked with as a healer and an intuitive and as a coach since 1999, I'm sure all those people have my phone number and business cards and websites and all the videos that I've done and all the things that I've done. This is stuff you have to start doing. You have to look at the scale of all the things that you've done, whether it be work or with your family or whatever. You have a value that is out there and you've helped a lot of people, whether it be, being a good friend or a good family member or whatever. You've been a gift to this planet, all of you. And so what I started doing is started saying, I know you'll take care of me. And I know you know what my bills are. And you will take care of me and it'll all just work out. However, I want it divinely given and I want it to be in the highest and best good. And so when I started doing that, then the energy started coming in, started flowing in. And it just got so much easier. So what I will tell you is now I'm looking at a new energy. My friend Donna Campbell and I are going to be doing an Intertemple Symposium online in November. More details to come very soon. It will be free access to this symposium. There will be a VIP section that's paid, but the symposium itself, it will be free. Amazing people like Donna Campbell and Kevin Lee, Victor Peruta, so far Tina Michelle have already agreed to be speakers at this. So Donna and I are hosting it, but we will also be speakers at it. And so the other part we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching what is called the Mystic Alliance, and it'll be a monthly membership where we will all be meeting on Zoom, part of it, and then we will also be helping intuitives and healers and coaches build their business. And so that's one of the things that I've been in the business world in both, and I've also been in the spiritual world at both times for many, many years. And Donna's been in the business world for many years, and we know a lot of people that can come in and help them build their business. So not only going to help them build their business, but we're also going to be putting in there things to develop them in their own skills as healers and intuitives. And so these are things that I am telling you. I was on this podcast. It's boomed. Myself and Virginia have had a lot of success working with a lot of people from all over the world. We just did a webinar this last weekend with 125 people on it from all over the world, from Australia and South Africa. It's United States, everything. What I want to share with you all is that whatever is your passion, do it. I've had a calling for a couple things. I wanted to feel free. I wanted to be free to be able to do what I wanted. Money has always been an issue and a block for, like all of us. It's always been an issue and a block. And I wanted to be free to be able to do what made my heart happy. So what I'm trying to say to you is that in your meditation, when you start to say, it's time for me to live my soul's purpose, it's time for me to do these things. I know you know how to take care of me. And then it will start to come into fruition. So a lot of people like to throw around the law of attraction principles, and I've been a law of attraction person for many, many years. Law of attraction, all it is cause and effect. The word law of attraction is a terrible word because what it doesn't show you is that knowing that you're going to be taken care of, even if a little bit of fear comes in, you talk it out and you work it out, and you have to remind yourself, no, I deserve the best of everything. I just want it divinely given, make it easy. And when you do that, then you start to tell the universe and spiritual energy, the divine, that I know you got my back. And I also know what's in my heart of what I want to do, not with the brain, but with the heart. And so when you're starting to ask for the heart, from the heart and the highest and best good, and you're starting to do this and you're really feeling this on a heartfelt level, and you're taken care of, and as you do your breathing and that kind of stuff, really getting into it, the universe is going to take care of you. And of course, yes, the human mind, or some people hate this, the ego, I call it the unhealthy ego or the healthy ego. The unhealthy ego does go into, oh goodness, and there's a reason for that. See, the physical mind, what ends up happening is when you do something new, imagine when you first learned how to drive a car, and you're driving that car, and you remember your driving instructor said you got to look at the mirror, you got to adjust all your mirrors, you got to do all this stuff, and you got to make sure you're staying in the lanes and all that kind of stuff. You were nervous, right? When you had to parallel park, when you had to do all these things, you were nervous. That's when a neurotransmitter fired from the left hemisphere of the brain, and when it became second nature, it connected to the right hemisphere of the brain. So why is that important? Because when you hit a new level of understanding, when you do something new, when you step out of your comfort zone, it is a new neurotransmitter that's firing until it becomes second nature. And that's the right hemisphere of the brain. So what ends up happening? Our unhealthy ego says, no, I can't do that, because it pulls them from things from the past that you've had happen, where I've jumped and made leaps of faith, and sometimes I've been successful, and sometimes I've been majorly, failed. However, we learn from our failures. They're not failures as the positive people like me say. It's an opportunity for you to grow into a new understanding of yourself and go into a new opportunity for you. So what I want to encourage people to do in this video is, what is it you want to do with your life? Where is you want your life to go? What is it you want to do that's here? Not with when you look, not if you're looking for money. Money comes. Money comes to pay your bills, and money comes to do the things you want to do. If you are in that energy of living your passion in your heart, it just kind of falls in place. Now, does it mean exorbitant amounts of money? No. Who needs all that? We just need enough to do what we need to do to live our lives and be free and be able to pay what we need to pay. But if we do it just for money, it's like I used to teach when I trained salespeople. I said, if you're just here for money, you might as well just quit today. Because if you don't have a passion for what the product that you're selling, what's the point? Then you're really going to try to convince people of something that you're not convinced of. And if you're going to fall into doing something because you think it's about, oh, it's a good career, you have no idea how many doctors and nurses and that I work with, that they're tired of being doctors and nurses, and they went into it. Some of them went into it for a calling. Some of them went into it because their parents said it was a good career and they should do it. And some of them went into it because they wanted to make money. And some of them went into it all for all the different reasons. If it's there because it was a passion for them, that's wonderful. But if it's something that they don't want to do, like being a corporate trainer for a long time, I had a passion for, and because I love teaching. And however, things change. We grow as human beings. We grow as individuals. So go out there, live your passion, find out what your heart says, and do that. I am available for sessions. You can find me at storytellingalchemist.com. And I hope everybody has a wonderful October and a wonderful holiday season. I'll be coming on more and talking about a lot more things. Much love, everybody. Bye bye.